Thank you for joining us today. My name is Theresa Evanoff, and I'm the Program Director for German Accelerator Southeast Asia. I'm happy to introduce German Entrepreneurship Asia and what we do for German and Singaporean startups. German Entrepreneurship Asia connects the innovation ecosystems of Asia and Europe to advance cross-border synergies between startups, investors, and corporates. We run 3 innovation programs, German Accelerator and Next Step, which are suited for German startups, and Accelerator, which is suited for Singaporean startups. We have a very diverse network of partners who span the Asian and German governments. We also partner with industry associations, bilateral chambers of commerce, venture capitalists, education institutions, and corporate partners. Our strong network of partners are a valuable asset to the startups in our programs, and we thank them for their support so far. Mentors are another key pillar of our programs. They help our startups build their go-to-market strategy and are great connectors for our companies to customers and investors around the globe. German Entrepreneurship Asia has over 100 mentors with varied industry experience, subject matter expertise, and most of them are based in Asia. So, why is Southeast Asia attractive for German startups? And why did the German Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Energy decide to launch a German Accelerator program for Southeast Asia in 2018? Firstly, Singapore is home to 150 active institutional investors and growing. It is rated as the second best country in the world to conduct business globally, based on the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business ranking report. In addition, supportive government incentives, including Enterprise Singapore's startup SG programs, make setting up and scaling here an easy place to land in Southeast Asia. Secondly, Southeast Asia has a tech-savvy young population with high internet penetration rates. For under 30-year-olds, there is an over 85% internet penetration rate. And overall, Southeast Asia internet users increased by 40 million people in the last year, from 360 million to 400 million in 2020, making this a really interesting region for internet businesses. Lastly, there's a trend towards urbanization in the region, with megacities growing at an extremely fast pace. This year, the top 10 cities in the regions are home to 75 million people, creating new problems for entrepreneurs to solve and key areas for them to launch these solutions. Southeast Asia is an attractive and dynamic region, which attracts not only German startups. This is proven by a number of factors. This region has seen a number of market-dominating unicorns and investors rush to secure their seat at the table. And lastly, the entire ecosystem is very mature and many startups entering the growth stage. It is because of these attractive factors in the Southeast Asian startup ecosystem that German Entrepreneurship Asia took on the execution of German Accelerator in Southeast Asia. German Accelerator empowers German startups to scale globally. The program is currently managed by German Entrepreneurship. Our programs are highly customized to the participants' individual needs in order to help them enter international markets and succeed quickly. We take on high potential companies on a fast-paced international expansion journey in the world's leading innovation hubs in the US and Asia, and we have presence in Berlin, Munich, Silicon Valley, New York, Boston, and Singapore. German Accelerator's market access programs help startups to enter international markets with an intense mentoring phase of 3 to 5 months. Our Next Step program is a market discovery program that helps German startups validate the suitability of their business in new potential target markets, such as South Korea, Japan, and India. Startups can benefit a great deal with our programs. We're industry agnostic, and our service is open to all German startups. We don't take any equity, and our programs are free of charge, with the exception of Next Step, where we take a small participation fee. Since we launched in 2012, German Accelerator has nurtured over 288 startups, which have raised close to $5 billion in funding collectively so far. Although it has been a challenging year, we have had some great startups joining the program in 2020. Since 2018, we've helped almost 40 startups from all industries with their expansion journey in Southeast Asia, some of whom you'll hear from today during the panel. Our program is 5 months long, and the ultimate goal is to help German startups develop a sustainable and actionable go-to-market strategy for the region. We work with startups to help them understand local business culture, review and develop a business model for the region, and track their progress with regular milestone check-ins throughout the program. In addition to workshops, the startups go through intensive one-on-one mentoring, curated focus groups, and get connections with customers and partners within Southeast Asia. So, if you are a German startup interested to expand to Southeast Asia, or if you're interested in becoming a mentor to help with our portfolio of companies, please reach out to me via email. Next up, you'll get to hear from founder of German Accelerator's alumni as they share their experiences, successes, and failures in Southeast Asia. There will also be an opportunity for live audience Q&A. So thank you and see you shortly. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. Welcome to our session, a spotlight, a speaking insider's perspectives from German startups. We will be accepting questions today via Pigeonhole, so please scan your QR code at the bottom of the screen. As I mentioned, I'm the program director of Southeast Asia German Accelerator, a program that's supported by the German Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Energy. I myself am an entrepreneur and have launched a social enterprise in Singapore, where I dove deep into the startup ecosystem, into the world of accelerator programs before joining German Accelerator. Prior to that, I worked in strategy and consulting and go-to-market strategy for multinational companies. And today we welcome our German startups from the German Accelerator program alumni to share their experiences today. I have Tim Miller from Certif-ID. I have Sirko Pelzl from apoQlar, Fabian from HydroNeo, and Tom from Wingcopter. I will let them introduce themselves with a short explanation of what they do and what problem their startup is trying to solve. So Tim, please go ahead.
Yeah, Theresa, great. Thanks very much. It's great to be here. So I'm the co-founder and managing director of Certif-ID. And around the world, there's increasing fragmentation in the job market, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to find people with the right skills and the right talent and to employ them. And this is not just for employers, but also for the education sector and for individuals as well. How do I update my curriculum and how do I maintain my relevance to the industry? And as an individual, how do I differentiate myself? And this is even more complicated when you bring in borders and cross-border employment and cross-border education. So at Certif-ID, we build curated education to employment journeys for the technical skills sector. And we work with technologies like blockchain and AI to build trust in labor mobility and to enable individuals to build a curated learning journey and skills journey to make sure that they are relevant for the jobs of tomorrow. And for recruiters, we enable them to reduce risk and to actually recruit people much more quickly, much more efficiently, and add value to their businesses quicker. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Tim. Over to you, Sirko.
Yeah. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. We call it the holomedicine, and holomedicine means using mixed reality and holograms, so you can take any medical data like a CT, MRI, DVT for your teeth or other things, And you can upload it, and automatically you have a hologram generated and can superimpose it on a patient during a surgery, but also for planning, but also for using telemedicine in 3D. And that's what we do. We work here with worldwide 100 chief surgeons together, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Theresa.
Thank you. Over to you, Fabian.
Thanks a lot. My name is Fabian. I'm the co-founder and managing director of HydroNeo. And my personal background is international business. And before I started with this fascinating endeavor here in Asia, I was working in a management consulting firm. And actually, my co-founder and I, we found HydroNeo to bring modern technology to the shrimp industry. For German standards, I would say this is rather exotic. I might come back to that to a later point. But our vision is to be the trusted partner of the farmer by creating value for the customer and the environment. And we have decided to focus on the $25 billion shrimp farming industry. So we digitize and automate actually operations on shrimp farms. Shrimp farmers have very high operational costs due to missing technology, as well as, I would say, the typical challenges local SME companies have in a very global industry. So we have developed an IoT system that monitors water quality and automates farm operations to increase efficiency and productivity. For example, we have been already achieving up to 50% of energy savings through our smart automation of motors and pumps. And for that, we are also working on additional, mostly digital offers to help our customers to become more professional and more productive. We are a German company, but our beachhead market is right now here in Thailand. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. And last but not least, yourself, Tom.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Tom Plümmer. I'm one of the 3 founders of Wingcopter. Wingcopter is a German drone manufacturer. It has all started when I was actually living on the African continent for 2 years, experienced how the supply chain, if it doesn't really work, can really cause lots of damage, because despite all the technology advantages we have and the whole process, everything is improving constantly on the technology side, still people are left behind. And we are actually talking about more than 2 billion people which have not direct access to medication. So back in Germany, working with drones in filming, I realized these drones can be used for more than just filmmaking. And I wanted to create a drone which can deliver goods faster from A to B. So we started building our own drone already in 2012 and ended up to by now employ 100 people working with UNICEF, DHL, UPS to deliver medicals to very remote places, and in future maybe many more products and goods to disrupt the logistic industry. Great,
thank you for sharing. And yes, we are very excited to have these very diverse alumni as part of our portfolio of companies at the German Accelerator. And they will be sharing today their experiences about venturing into the region in Southeast Asia. So my first question is, you guys are all European startups, all in Germany. I guess, why would Southeast Asia be an attractive market for you? I think maybe we'll start with Fabian, as you mentioned that shrimp farming is kind of exotic for Germany. It'd be great to hear why Southeast Asia for you guys.
Yeah, for us, I think we are quite a rather unusual startup. So I would say my journey in shrimp farming actually already started in the year 2005 when I was growing my first own crawfish during my high school time in Australia. So I told you before, I was working management consulting in Germany. And, management consulting is a very exciting industry. But after a while, creating colorful PowerPoint slides every day, you think, hey, what else can you do with your life? So somehow I got caught up in the topic of aquaculture. So I actually started researching about organic shrimp farming in Germany for myself. So I thought about becoming an organic shrimp farmer in Germany. And while I did the research, I learned about all the issues, especially the Asian shrimp farmers have. So I partnered up with a good friend of mine, and we said, hey, with nowadays technology, there should be solutions to all of the problems. So we literally started a startup in Germany, but with a clear focus on Southeast Asia. So for us, it was just logical that we applied for the German Accelerator program in Singapore. And during our time in Singapore last year, we have been discovering many different Asian markets here, and then decided that Thailand should be our focus market. So this is in a nutshell how everything started. And what was very interesting for me to see is how much support you're receiving in Asia, also like from the governments. Yeah, we all know sometimes the bureaucracy and the legal framework is not the easiest. It's not the most simple situation. But actually, when you explain what you want to do and how it will also benefit farmers and therefore the whole industry, then you receive a lot of support. And this is maybe something which, for me was quite surprising, because honestly, in Germany, I have not received so much government support as being here in Asia.
That's great. So how long did it take for you guys to go from your idea of launching in Southeast Asia to actually getting a pilot customer once you landed there?
Getting a pilot customer was much easier than I expected. I would say I thought farmers are more traditional, maybe not as open for innovation, because I was like thinking with a German mindset. But coming to Thailand and speaking to many shrimp farmers, for example, we prepared a big survey. We met with different shrimp farmers and we started to ask them all of the questions. And during our second interview, one farmer said on question number 7, so we are not even 10% through our survey, he said like, hey, why all these questions? Why don't you install your prototype? You told me you have a prototype with you, just install it in my farm and we test it out. So this is, for us, it was very interesting how quick things start to move as soon as you speak with the customers. So actually prototyping was not difficult or complicated. What took us quite some time was more like the whole legal setup, first deciding which country to move in, and then the whole legal setup. As foreigners, starting a company in Thailand, you need like a special board of investment promotion. So that takes several months till you get it and things like that. So, and then also transforming your IoT product from a prototype to a market ready version. It's also like takes slightly more longer than we expected.
Okay, great. Thank you. Maybe I'll come back to that a little bit later about some of the challenges around that. But maybe now I'll go to Tim, just about your journey in Southeast Asia. So why is Southeast Asia important for you guys? And please.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, again, as a German company and in the education field, Germany is synonymous for excellent dual vocational training, and it's something that countries around the world have tried to replicate or tried to roll out with, quite honestly, limited effects a lot of the time. And for us, again, we set ourselves up in Germany to start building digitized processes for education, with always the goal of being active in countries like Southeast Asia or developing economies with large demographic populations, with a willingness to move abroad and to learn new things. And for us, we actually started in India. So we had one of our first steps was in India, where I'd spent quite a bit of time in my previous career and seen some of these challenges firsthand. And with that, we wanted to replicate into Southeast Asia, taking into consideration language requirements, again, looking at education. So for us, the Philippines, for example, was one of the markets that we were eager to set up in 2020 and eager to access, and then further markets in Southeast Asia following that as well.
Great, thank you. And where are you guys in your journey today?
We've had an interesting year. So again, we had a great start. So started by traveling out to Singapore and having a great time as the Accelerator program got started, and we really started to really get our feet on the ground in Singapore, but also exploring new markets. Then the world changed for a little bit, which actually was not a bad thing in hindsight, but for a little while really threw us a difficult time, and particularly in terms of traveling. So being able to set up operations remotely, being based in Singapore and looking to set up in the Philippines, suddenly became something we thought, well, let's hold back a minute and see how we can really manage what we're doing first and reassess how we enter these markets. We started to look a bit more into Singapore as a key market, and then reassess, which we did several times with the support of the Accelerator and mentors as well.
Great, thank you. And how about for you guys, Sirko? You guys also started earlier in the year, and then COVID hit. So yeah, why Southeast Asia for apoQlar, and where are you guys in your journey today?
Yeah, I still remember the good beer I had with Tim, and then COVID had to go back. So that's a pity. It was very warm, very nice. Yeah, it was a really interesting year, absolutely. Why Southeast Asia? I think we concentrated first on Europe, but then we got more and more emails from doctors and surgeons worldwide, and also a lot from Asia. And then I thought myself, let's go there, let's have a look. And now, like we have in Singapore, we work very close with NUHS, and there's just now a medical study released, and there is a training, a workshop, I think this week. So we do a lot of things, a lot of surgery is already done. And I like this innovative character, no? And this I can find in Singapore, and the speed. I like the speed and this technology driving. And that was one of the main reasons. And we are very happy to be there and to extend our business, and especially also in Singapore.
Great. Thank you, Sirko. And Tom, please share a little bit about, you guys have just started your journey into Southeast Asia. Just why are you considering this a market, especially for drone technology, and when there's a number of different drone companies here already? What sets you guys apart, and why Southeast Asia?
It has multiple reasons, I would say. It's on the one side, our seed funding came from Singapore, an investment on multifamily office based in Singapore, and it's Qualcomm, so it's a multifamily office managing 2.5 billion, and they actually decided to invest in drones after normally investing in infrastructure and housing. So that was one reason, but the other reason is today we have some of our best customers in Japan. So this was really exciting to find some of the first people who wanted our drones in Japan. We plan to expand. We have now a local representative. Also, we are looking for partnerships. And I think, as it was mentioned here before, the speed is one thing, and also the acceptance of new technologies is really high. And I think this is really helpful if you have a drone which is flying really far, very fast. So our drone is a bit special because it can tilt the rotors, and once it's up in the air vertically, it can transition into forward flight and can fly 100 or 120 kilometers. It can go up to 240 kilometers per hour. So it's a really fast and long range flying drone. And you have to know how to handle it, and you have to be brave enough to say, okay, I want to use that new technology. And even in Germany, we did not find that fast customers like in Southeast Asia. So being invited, I had the chance to travel, and I really loved it, to be honest. So we are thinking about expanding in a way, also setting up an office, looking for more partnerships. We would really welcome anyone who's interested to go on our website, wingcopter.com, and just let us or shoot us a message, and then we would be happy to follow up, and hopefully we meet, and then we can establish some more collaboration.
Yeah, excellent. Fantastic. So that's great. Yeah. So Wingcopter is currently in our German Accelerator program. So they're, again, looking for partnerships, as are all our German startups. So we can reach out to them later through the business matching, perhaps. So maybe, Tim, you can share with us a little bit about what the journey was like. As you mentioned, you touched upon a little bit already. Like, you started the year in Singapore and then went back to Germany, was launching in Philippines, and then wasn't launching. And then now you've launched with the help of some mentors there. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey and some of the challenges and successes that you faced?
Yeah, sure. So, as mentioned, when we went to Singapore at the beginning of the year, the Philippines was really one of the key markets that we wanted to enter first within Southeast Asia, followed by others. And then with this this change we've all gone through, we had to really shift our go-to-market strategy. And I think that's one of the things we worked very hard on with the Accelerator, is looking at the different markets and understanding, where would be the best fit? How do we enter that market? Is the plan that we have in place relevant or not? Doing that market acceptance testing, etc. And when it changed and suddenly I wasn't able to travel to the Philippines, for example, we decided to put it on the back burner, actually. So our go-to-market strategy went point 2, enter Philippines to take it off again. We're not going to go to the Philippines. And then I think 3 weeks later, we were back on again. And I think one of the key successes we had over that 5-month program, which, as you said, Theresa, was 2 months out of the 5 in Singapore. Then the whole thing went virtual. We went back to Germany, I think, on one of the last flights out of Singapore back to Germany, and then managed to run the program virtually and actually launch in the Philippines. So we actually managed to do that. We changed from having a concept of being on the ground and actually setting up a legal entity in the Philippines, which was always our goal by October this year, to actually working with partners on the ground. And a lot of that was made possible through the network that we were given access to through the German Accelerator. And I think for us, that was hugely important because, again, by having meetings with different people, obviously you have tremendous connections across the region. You suddenly realize that there are other ways of doing things, which was a real eye-opener, which again allowed us to do so. So it was a real roundabout roller coaster, but we ended up pretty much achieving what we wanted to. And again, now we've got customers in the Philippines, in Singapore, and others without being there, which is a nice change.
Yeah, that's great, and we're really excited for you guys as well. Fabian, also, you guys are in Thailand now, and that was your target market from the very beginning. So maybe just share with us a little bit more about your journey into Thailand and the support that you have had since the program, because you've had great successes in Thailand since.
Yeah, I think we were pretty lucky that so we joined the German Accelerator in Singapore last June. And then we decided that Thailand should be our beachhead market here in Asia. So we were pretty lucky that we've already moved to Thailand when COVID started. So it slowed us down, of course, but it was not as dramatic, for example, as we just heard, that we couldn't go anymore, like couldn't open up an office anymore because we're already here. For us, however, we had like some other issues, as I already said, being German and developing IoT technology or technology for shrimp farms. It's like this rather exotic idea. So I think for us at the beginning was more difficult to get the faith of business partners. So I think it was kind of a reputation issue at the beginning. Being Germans coming to Asia and talking about shrimp farming, this is just, I must admit, a pretty weird thing. So for us, it helped a lot to join the German Accelerator program. And then after the German Accelerator program, we joined the Space F program in Bangkok. So joining these accelerator programs, they gave us kind of credibility. And I think this helped a lot to get more connections, to have more access to the right people that we want to speak with. And at the end, through the accelerator programs, we got in contact with the Thai Union Group, which is the world's leading seafood company. And they have now partnered up with us. They actually also did an investment into HydroNeo. So obviously that helps a lot. And as I also already mentioned, as soon as you're reaching out also to government entities and you explain what you want to do, we don't just want to sell here in Thailand or in Asia in general. We actually want to set up we have set up a 100% subsidiary. We are hiring software developers, for example. We're building up a team here. So we really mean serious business. And as soon as our partners realized that, we received quite a lot of support in every aspect. Sometimes, however, it's slightly difficult to be a German startup, but to some extent only operating in Thailand. So we still have a development team back in Germany. And as you can imagine, by not being able to fly back and forth sometimes, my co-founder and I being here in Bangkok, that is quite a stretch for a small company. And when you consider like the team dynamics and things like that, that's sometimes a little bit difficult. Especially in the fundraising part also, at the beginning, we talk to like all the usual things, business angels, sometimes governmental investors and things like that. But being a German company, operating in Asia kind of limits you with which investor you can talk to. because some investors say, hey, great thing what you're doing, it sounds amazing, but we cannot help in Asia. And some other investors say, hey, great what you're doing, we want to help you here, but we cannot invest into a German entity. So this is what we have seen on a very practical level, being a little bit challenging, but I think we have overcome these challenges by now.
Yeah, so I think you touched upon a point that came from the audience as well. A question from the audience is just, how do you convince shrimp farmers that you understand them? Thai shrimp farmers that you understand them, being German engineers.
That's actually a very good question. And the answer is pretty simple. It's much easier than you think or than we expected. As I made this example earlier on, we started just taking a survey, asking questions, and then the farmer is inviting us to install our prototype. So they are very open for innovation. And as soon as they hear and listen to you and understand that you actually know what you're talking about, they're very open to try it out. So getting prototype customers, getting pilot customers was not difficult at all. And then we just worked with them. And it happened many times that we are standing on a shrimp farm, and then another farmer, comes driving by with a scooter and just looks at us and asks us, hey, what is the system? And then we explain it. And maybe 10, 15 minutes later, he says, hey, okay, when can I get one of your systems? So this is how it starts, like you need to have one or two, or like I think we started with 4 pilot customers, and then it just goes along. You just make more connections. These farmers maybe even post about it on Facebook. We have one very Facebook savvy customer, and he just took a video of our system and explains how he uses our system. And that video got 600 likes within 24 hours by other shrimp farmers. 600 doesn't sound a lot in a B2C environment, but when you think about such a specific industry, getting 600 likes within 24 hours, it's amazing. So long story short, if you have a good product, if you know what you're doing, and if you convince a couple of farmers to try it and then also speak about it, it's actually much easier than what we imagined from the beginning onwards.
So who knew that there were shrimp farmer influencers that you found?
Exactly.
Excellent. And you, Sirko, you guys are also beginning your Southeast Asia journey, although you have, and you've also set up a company here in Singapore, and also Hollow Medicine Association. So just tell us a little bit about your journey, any of the challenges or any stories about cultural differences, whether good or bad, for setting up here in the region.
Yeah, our journey was, as we had then when COVID arrived, suddenly all hospitals got closed, right? There was no access at all. And that was for us quite strange when I was back here. At first, everybody was sending me masks to Singapore, and then they told me, oh, bring this mask back to Germany, please, because then it was the whole other way around. And but then we did quite a big change. We implemented, for example, a COVID recognition AI but we also went in a direction to offer remote proctoring for cardiology clips. And now we just released last week 3D telemedicine, so that you can, over a distance, you take your glasses and I can have a doctor from Singapore just staying next to me now here, or I can stay next to him in his surgical room. And that we just released now, and it's global, available in 35 hospitals, Miami, Singapore, wherever, in Queensland. And I'm very curious how it all goes, because it's so new that they are all surprised, because you can be at place, but you also can share your heavy DICOM data, your heavy CT data. And I think the similarities, there are a lot of similarities between Singapore and Germany, and I think it can be much better used. They both have extremely strength, and we're on the way there to do this. And we are not speaking too much. We always just do, and that's the way how it is.
That's great. Okay, and then how about Tom, as a founder, how difficult or easy? I mean, you guys are in multiple markets now. How easy or difficult is it to scale into a new market while you're trying to do the same in your home market? You need to hold your ground in the home market. Can you share a little bit about that?
I think the best is to really create networks really fast. Or carefully for sure. It's the same with hiring. You want to have the right ones, the experts, and so hire slow maybe. So also build your network slowly but steady, and find local people who you can trust in. I would say that was really helpful in Japan. Similar in other Asian countries. I have been at least for a short time, and I looked around. I'm still looking at building these networks. As I mentioned before, really open to connect. Very happy to connect in all kinds of ways, if customers or just partners to collaborate. That's one thing. The other thing is programs like the German Accelerator, and I have to advertise it a little bit because it was really great experience. That's Start Next to start with a short program, but really intense, and then a longer program where you can really dive into a specific country. That was extremely helpful. And then JETRO, for example, also really helpful address to, at least for Germans, to enter getting to know the culture. I mean, this is also a bit tricky. If you just run into a country yourself, you might run into problems, as it seems to be somehow the same, maybe same age. But then talking about drone is okay, but talking about different things, you really end up maybe saying the wrong thing. So inform yourself about culture is something I learned a little bit, but there was no bad thing I experienced. So actually, I was really excited, and I love it, and I even like the food. So everything is a bit better than in Germany, I would say. So I prefer it a lot. Yeah, I'm looking really forward to expand.
Yes, we look forward to having you back in Singapore again.
Yes.
Okay, and I guess it's been challenging times for, especially in the drone and delivery. In the logistics segment right now. So how has COVID changed the situation for you guys for drones?
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, it was my take. So I think it's, despite the disadvantage which COVID brought to everyone, so a bit of slowdown, a bit less travel, which for the environment I think is good. For the business, it sometimes was a bit tricky. You have a drone and you want to do a demo. We had to, for example, for a Japanese customer, we had to do a live demo through the video feed. So we went on the field, we were showing the takeoff and the package delivery. We can do it by rope and lower the package. And then we had to film it in all angles. And it was actually like a virtual demo of a live flight. Was interesting, but not really the same like inviting some customers over to Germany or going to Japan, for example, and showing the drone in real life, because it's always more impressive to see a drone flying in life, especially if it's 2 meters and flying so high and so far. So that was a bit tricky. However, I think in general, the acceptance of unmanned technology increased. So people understood that drone technology can, for example, limit the human-to-human interactions, can help to deliver things without any contact, any personal contact. And so with the pandemic and now everyone trying to keep distance and not to breathe too much of the same air from others. So I think drones can really help and actually improve and save lives. So coming from the military where drones started, now Wingcopter is not doing military drones. We do purely civil drones, but that was always mixed up. So we were always also put in that corner of military technology. Now people understood this is something which can do good, and we will use it in this way. So we I think got really accepted in the last couple of months much more, and our projects got more welcomed into countries as we do medical delivery mainly. Also, we did COVID response deliveries. We delivered protective materials, and lately we are preparing actually in Southeast Asia to make the first COVID vaccine deliveries once it's ready, as we have also tested this with UNICEF successfully, and we could reduce the waiting time for patients. So we will be even maybe part of the COVID response in future.
That's great and extremely meaningful, especially in a lot of these urban developments. So we're great to have we're very grateful for the technology such as yours. Tim, for you guys, how about how has COVID affected the job mobility sector? I guess mobility is a big thing for you guys, where you guys are bringing skilled workers from one area into another, and given the COVID situation, the lack of mobility, how has that affected you guys overall? And what has your response been?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we sort of bridge between HR tech and EdTech. So it's been an interesting journey on that side too. So, for example, the end of 2019, we were part of a project to bring more than 30 automotive technicians from India to Germany to work in different German automotive companies as technicians. That's obviously something that completely stopped. So that was a big kind of shift also in our business in terms of being able to, use technology to accurately screen and find competent people, especially in technical disciplines. That shifted. But what was also interesting is in some of the markets we were working in, the effects of COVID also meant that domestic work also had tremendous challenges. So factories and logistics workers, etc., they also weren't able to find the right people because mobility within a country was also heavily impacted. So for that also we could have sort of transitioned to support domestic sourcing of professionals within those markets as well. Where it goes, I mean, of course, international mobility is still impacted. I think we're all in one way or another waiting for this vaccine to open air travel again, in one way or the other. And I think that's something that will come back. It's just a question of when, not if. And in terms of EdTech and the education sector, again, for us, a big part of what we do is in practical vocational training, which when we set out to launch Certif-ID, it was very much about bringing transparency into practical training. So if you want to be a welder or you want to be in the mechatronics sector, these are all skills you need to learn physically with your hands in a classroom and be able to practice your skills. I think with that transition with COVID, obviously most educational sectors were shut down. Everything moved online. I don't think it's changed the direction of where education is going. It's just sped it up. So, I mean, there's so much more online now than there was, and a massive push to change, which for us has also been interesting. So we've also, working a lot with our customers to support them in using different learning technologies to replicate former practical training exercises in a virtual environment. So a lot of things are changing, and I think for us it meant it sped up elements of our business case that we wanted to do a little bit later down the line, and for others it meant that we just we just changed direction a little bit, and we're able to actually benefit from the fact that we needed to move quicker and be very flexible. So I think a bit of a mix, really.
Great. I have a question from the audience for you, Tim. It's how do you engage with governments, and is public schooling and apprenticeship a competitor? Which I understand it's not, but you work with them, or how do you work with them? Do you build on top of that? And how is the German Accelerator facilitating you through those relationships?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I mean, for us, a lot of what we're doing is sort of is about policy and driving policy change and so on, which is the long game, not the short game, for sure. But in India, we've done extensive work with different elements of the Indian government, which is really critical in terms of bringing new technologies into education and updating curriculums which are often so out of date, and looking at new technologies which can really support public education, particularly sort of polytechnic and technical education leading into higher education. So the government role is very strong. For us in Asia, for example, so in the Philippines, we've started actively working with a number of different agencies in vocational training from a couple of different angles. So also looking to bring awareness to different technologies and to see from a pilot perspective how that could play an impact in different scenarios within public education. So it really it's been an interesting journey, and again with the Accelerator, there's been a tremendous opportunity, particularly also in Singapore. I have to say that we had a lot of great discussions with different sort of government bodies, which were all facilitated by the network, which is also very helpful.
Great, thank you. So I think maybe it's almost time for us to wrap up. So I'd love to hear from the panelists, maybe one do and one don't for expanding into Southeast Asia. And then there's a question from the audience is, what have you learned from Southeast Asian startups? So again, maybe from everybody from the table, one do, one don't for expanding into Southeast Asia, and one learning that you've seen from Southeast Asian startups. So Tom, maybe we'll start with you.
Sure. I was impressed by again, I have to say the speed. I looked at a logistics startup in Singapore and it was really impressive. They had just a warehouse, but everyone was crowded and working so hard and so focused. That was really impressive to see that what in one building can happen. So that was great. I'm still in touch with them, so I guess there could be partnerships possible. So it's the synergies, also the openness for other startups to collaborate, to help each other. There was one more thing I really thought of, but I think that was impressive. I mean, we hired lately someone from Grab, a very, very smart lady, and she brings in all the idea of sharing and sharing economy, gig economy, and that understanding. Very modern. She built up a business in Philippines, then she moved to Singapore, leading a unit there. Really flexible, open-minded, and so creative. And she's now running our growth team. So really interesting and very fast forward and looking to expand with the help of her as well. Yeah.
And great. And then one do and one don't for Southeast Asia.
Yeah. Do definitely be willing to travel and explore. I think both ways. Also, anyone who feels like coming to Germany, you're really welcome. We are close by the Frankfurt airport. We are still sometimes in the office. We try to reduce. We for sure wear masks, keep distance, but we still sometimes have visitors. So if anyone feels like visiting Wingcopter, you're really invited. The other things, I would love to travel again with a family and 2 kids. I'm now have to slow down a little bit on traveling during COVID times. But maybe we all move together at some point. I know my wife loves Thailand. She wants to really live there. So let's see. So I don't miss that opportunity. I think just try and exchange with people, just build networks, and they will last long if you build the right ones. So it's don't miss that. Yeah.
Great. Now you have a host in Thailand with Fabian. Hello,
exactly, Tom. Let me know when you're coming.
I love shrimp. Yeah, that's good.
Maybe we can connect the shrimps and the drone somehow.
Yeah. Oh, let's think about that.
Synergy within alumni. Excellent. Sirko, one do, one don't, and one learning would be great.
Yeah, I also would start with the learning. First of all, what I learned, German Accelerator is a very good program, not just to say it here too. And I got very nice mentors like Zian, Rob, Anbu, which has all these connections, but also the people there. They also have this entrepreneur thinking, so that's very positive. And I didn't expect this, I must say. So that was very impressive. Yeah, and I think the experience to travel, to be in Singapore and from this place to go everywhere and to meet all those different people, I agree with Tom, is one of the best. And don't miss to buy a bottle of nice gin at the airport in Singapore because we'll pay back. I learned it from Theresa. And that's what I can say.
Great, thank you. Tim?
Yeah, I think learning is you always hear about being flexible, but I think learning is you can never be flexible enough. So I think in terms of spontaneously jumping on a plane to go and visit somewhere, to meeting with people that you wouldn't expect, to the flexibility of the fact that meetings don't always happen when they're meant to happen, and being flexible about timing and don't be too German precise with everything. I can say that because I'm English, not German. So I think those are things from a learning perspective. I think in terms of do, I think honestly do it. Yeah, Asia is amazing. I've been to many countries in Asia over the years, and it's really such a growing, such a vibrant place, which has so much opportunity also to be creative. Yeah, so there's not really the guardrails that you would have in other places. There's a willingness, as some of the team have already said on the call here, to embrace new technology. So to go ahead and do it. I think don't. Don't. I don't know what a don't would be actually. Yeah, don't miss the chance. I like that. I'll stick with that one. I think that's a good one.
Don't do it by yourself, I think is a good
True.
Thanks, Tim, for your thoughts. And Fabian, last but not least. do or don't in unlearning.
I think I can just agree to everything what has been said before, especially Tim, what you said. Don't be too German. Yeah, you have to understand the flexibility that sometimes meetings change. We, for example, say when we plan trips to the south, for example, which is a like major hotspot for shrimp farming, we say it has always 3 phases. The first phase is we have 3 or 4 meetings which we really need to do, and this is the reason why we actually do this travel. Then 3 or 4 days later, out of these 3 meetings, maybe 1 still exists, because with the other ones, like, oh, I'm traveling out of the province, or I'm doing this or doing that. And then we think, hey, does it even make sense to do this travel now? And 1 day later, our schedule is boasting again, as it's exploding, because we have so many meetings scheduled up within 24 hours that we cannot even handle all of them anymore. So you have to really learn to be very flexible. So this is my learning, where I agree. Do's and don'ts, I would combine them actually. I would say follow your passion. This is a do, because when you follow your passion, you will always end up doing the right thing. And at the same time, a do and a don't is listen to the skeptics, but don't listen to them, which means take their points. Like I told you about this, like Germans coming to Thailand talking about shrimp farming. What do Germans know about shrimp farming? So listen to the skeptics and understand why they are skeptical about your idea. But then at the same time, don't let it drag yourself down, but just address their concerns. Don't lose faith in yourself, and then just do it.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Thank you. I think, that's like one of the cliches. The best and the worst advice is that you can do anything. Thank you for that. Okay, so thank you everybody, I think, for your time. We are almost out of time now. And then also for the German Accelerator, we are different than other accelerators because, first of all, we accept German startups, and we don't take any equity, we don't invest in the companies. This is purely on a impact basis, and currently we are funded by the German Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Energy to grow the startup ecosystem. So thank you very much for joining us today, and we look forward to meeting you all in virtual settings. So thank you to our panelists today, Tim, Fabian, Sirko, and Tom.
Thank you very much, Theresa.
Thanks a lot.